Welcome back to Silent Hill Acres. And today, my goal is to get my two feeders out today. I went and bought some deer corn from our local farmer. He always has a lot of corn that he bags up for the local hunters around here. So we try to give him support instead of going to the big box stores and paying for it, because surprisingly, it's actually a little bit cheaper because he does it in 50-pound bags, and I believe almost every big box store they sell it in 40-pound bags, and you're paying pretty much the same price as I pay for this 50-pound bag. So again, I like to support the local farmers here in my area. So I always buy my corn from them. But again, today my goal is to get my deer feeders out. Uh, I know I'm a little late. Today is September 10th, and deer season actually started this past weekend on September 7th for bow season. And but I usually don't get out and hunt this early, just because it's usually still pretty hot and humid, and mosquitoes and everything like that. But unusual that we've had probably for the last week, maybe, the morning temperature has been in the mid to upper 50s to possibly low 60s, somewhere right in there. And so I might get out. I'm not saying that I'm definitely going to take something if the opportunity arises, but usually the first 3 weeks or so of bow season, I'm taking inventory, seeing what's out there. Because right now, the does, most of them still have their fawns with them, and so it's kind of hard to, you know, uh, get a single doe, an older one, anyways. And the bucks right now, their pattern, they've kind of started breaking up a little bit in their bachelor groups. Um, so the opportunities are kind of limited right now, at least on my property. Uh, this is this will be my sixth season hunting on my property, and this is what I've experienced and come to realize. Usually the first 3 to 4 weeks of deer season here, um, it's pretty limited as to the opportunity that I might have to take something. So again, I think I've said before, I'm trying to do a deer management uh, on my property so that, I'm not just going out there and shoot whatever steps out. I'm being picky about what I shoot. And so I usually don't really get serious about my hunting until, gosh, probably about end of October to the first part of November. And then from there till the end of the season is when I'm, super gun ho about, getting some meat in the freezer, and hopefully I can get one of my older bucks that I'm hoping it survived last season. Uh, Again, I had definitely one buck that I was after, and I'm guessing last year he was probably 4 or 5 years old. So this year he's probably 5, 6 years old, somewhere in that range. And haven't gotten any uh, pictures of him yet, but I noticed last year he didn't show up until, gosh, it was probably about November before he started showing up on cameras on my property. So I usually don't get too worried about, if I don't see early signs of big bucks on my property. I might have one or two, three, four of them, kind of come through, but nothing is where they're constantly here until usually about November and December. And a lot of the key reason is I do still constantly put my corn feeders out, so there's food for them there. And this year, with having the food plots, I'm hoping that will be another benefit to keep the deer coming back and keep them in this area. And of course, where the does go, eventually the bucks are going to follow them, because once the rut hits, the does are usually staying in this area. I got quite a bit of cover in certain parts of my property, but the biggest thing is the properties that kind of surround me. I'm kind of using them more of my deer sanctuary because nobody hunts them. And so I'm very fortunate that, I can be a little bit more aggressive on my property and go into certain areas and not have to worry about bumping them out because they usually bed down majority of the time on my neighbor's property. So, but I'm going to try to get these feeders out today. And if I have more time, I'm going to get my stands out. I usually put 2 hang on stands and a ladder stand. So, the 2 hang ons, I usually kind of put them in some good areas that's very thick with trees and everything. And then the ladder stand, uh, as you'll see where I'm going to put that, it's more of an area that deer are using to get from one piece of property to the other. It's not set over corn, bait, or anything like that. It's more just a travel area that where the deer is having movement. And but my hang-ons is usually close to where the feeders are at, just because again I'm trying to get them to come in from their bedding to feed for a little bit. And again, it might also depend on what I see on my cameras. uh, I put my cameras out 2 maybe 3 weeks ago, and I have them a few on the food plot, so I'm wanting to see if the deer are coming by and nibbling on the food plots, or they hadn't looked at them yet or hadn't discovered them yet. Again, as far as I know, nobody in this area does food plots, so they might not be used to seeing what I've put out there. Uh, I don't know. They might not know what radishes are or turnips and stuff like that because nobody's ever done food plots. They might not have experienced that yet. So it might take them a little while to find it and figure it out and stuff like that. And again, especially like the turnips and stuff like that, they really don't start hitting those until after the first frost because I've heard that once the turnips have a first frost, then they get a little bit sweeter tasting. And when it's getting colder, deer are more trying to hit the cards. And so another thing that I've noticed on my property this year, and just looking in my backyard, because I have 4 white oaks right in my backyard, and I don't see a big substantial acorn uh, crop this year. And so with that information, because I've also gone out into the woods, used my binoculars, looked up, into the trees and see, is it a heavy acorn this year, or is it not that great? And as of right now, from what I've observed, it doesn't look like it's going to be a big acorn crop this year, at least where I live. So that's why, you know, using corn this year, it should be pretty beneficial because the deer are going to have to come to one location, um, or 2 locations, I guess you want to say, because I got 2 corn feeders. And, but usually when I have a pretty good acorn crop, I know where 3 really good white oak trees are that when they produce, they mass produce. And then I try to set up, close to that area, whether it's near that tree or a travel corridor going to that tree. And, but again, that's why I like to use the first, 3, maybe 4 weeks of hunting season where I just go out and I just sit there and I observe, I watch, and I still take my bow, but my main thing that I use while I'm out there is my binoculars, just observing, seeing where deer are coming from and where they're going, and maybe what they're eating at that time. Because as of right now, there's still a lot of natural vegetation that they're probably eating, so they're still eating stuff that's out and about, but Hopefully when it gets colder and all that stuff starts going dormant, they're going to start hitting more of this stuff and my food plots, hopefully. But we'll see. That, like I said, that's a new thing for these deer, at least on my property, is the food plots. And so it might take a season or two for them just to get used to, hey, there's a buffet over here. Let's go check it out and see what's in it. But let me get my rest of my gear thrown into the side by side and the trailer here, and I'll meet you out in the woods. All right, I've stopped by the experimental food plot just to, one, change out the card on my camera, and two, so you can get a look at what is actually grown out here. Uh, for being my very first time doing a food plot, I was kind of impressed. So I know I need a lot more work on getting it better. I think if I would have probably sprayed it and killed everything again before I threw my seeds out, I think it would even done probably a lot better. But I'll let you see the progress that was made on what I did throw out. And so far, I am actually kind of impressed. So just to give you an idea, I got this growing here, this here. There's some type of beans. Got some more there. But as you look out across, I got quite a bit coming in. And to exactly know what it is, I'm not sure. But there's looks like some type of radish or turnip is here. But looks like I got a lot of beans in here. And I'm not sure what that is yet. But as you can see, I mean, they're getting big. So I am actually quite happy with how this is all turned out. I see where it possibly looks like the deer have been hitting it. All these have been nibbled on here. You can see here too. All this over here. So it looks like they've found this food plot, which is kind of not surprising because this is somewhat of a corridor for them coming from my neighbor's property across the road. But yeah, as I look across this now, I mean, I see where they've been nibbling on this pretty good. I see a lot of leaves missing, but at the same time, I'm getting some really good growth. I mean, that's just one big vine right there. I wanted to flip the angle of the camera around just so I could get a better shot of just making sure that you can see. But they've definitely have nibbled and found this place. So I'm very excited about that. But I will go pull the card and see, what times are over here feeding on it. This appears, again, this looks like it's some type of radish or turnip or something. I'm not good with exactly knowing what all the plants are from the seeds that I threw out. But it looks pretty healthy, and the deer have definitely been hitting it. So I'm I'm actually shocked by this. You probably see the excitement in my face and everything. So I can't wait to continue to get hopefully better and better at doing food plots. Of course, this looks pretty spotty, with what is here and with the grass and the weeds and that. But again, I know I should have sprayed before I threw my seeds out, but I was in such a time crunch with that storm coming, and I did not want to miss that good rain that we received from Hurricane Debbie. It definitely was the most beneficial thing that happened, because we had probably a good steady 24 hours of rain, and I'm not talking heavy rain. It was just that nice steady, downpour that ended up, we got probably about 5 inches of rain out of that. And I think that's what really, really helped germinate the seeds that I threw out. So, but I'm going to go ahead, and there's my camera right there. So I'll give you an idea of what the camera sees. So that's the angle that the camera has. And so I'm going to go ahead and change this card out. And if there's anything that good came through, or we'll see what's on it. But I'm getting excited about this. This is made me very happy. I can't believe it. I got this much growth, and they've already have been nibbling on it. Like I said, I'm looking across now and even seeing more stalks of where they've just nibbled off the tops and the leaves and stuff like that. And so I'm really anxious. And if it looks like there is, quite a bit of traffic through here, I might set up a stand in this area, or I might just set up a ground blind, because as you can see back over here on this side, it's heavily brushed right there. And so if I just clear out enough area and put a ground blind in there, I can sneak in from the back side of it. And that way, I don't throw my scent out here or anything like that. Maybe I can just hunt from right there. So, and then also over in that corner, it's kind of hard to see because it kind of focuses on my finger, but over in that corner is a spot that, again, ever since I've hunted out here, I call it Scrape Corner, because every year there's been a good sized scrape that they hit. So, so that's another good thing about this spot, is they are hitting the food plot, and it's right close to that Scrape Corner. So I'm excited about this. This is awesome. I can't believe that they've recognized it and they've hit it that much so far. So I can't wait to see what happens the rest of the season out here, and I'll definitely keep you updated too.
All right, I'm going to take this moment here to just show you some photos that were on the trail camera at the experimental food plot. And as you can see, they're actually using this food plot during the daytime. And something that also surprised me, as you'll see in the next few pictures, is that here is my family and I. We drive by, and if you look at the time, 10 minutes later, this deer comes out into the food plot. So they're definitely using this food plot frequently, and hopefully I can get it to make it even better for them.
All right, well, I'm out here at my first spot that I put my deer feeder at, and what I want to do real quickly is walk around, because if y'all remember from my Heidi Hole food plot video, this is where I put it at. And I want to see if there's anything that possibly uh, been eaten, or I really don't see a whole lot right in this area where I threw some seed at that looks like it's done any good. Looks like there's maybe some ryegrass looking stuff out here, but other than that, um, I don't see any clover in this area where I saw it probably, gosh, maybe 3, 4, 5 days after we had that big storm. I had come out here and looked at it, and the clover was really starting to come up. The ryegrass, it looks like it's still out here, but I wanted to just walk around real quick and see if any of that stuff is still growing. But I'll take you along with me. Okay, well, I've grabbed my little container of cards to swap out, because I put 2 cameras on this area here, and it looks like the deer is just hammered this down here. Um, just a few days after the heavy rain that we had, I had clover. I mean, it was really starting to come up, and as of right now, I don't see any clover at all. And it's not like it's been super hot since we've had that storm and the clovers popped up. But sorry, the bugs are out here today. So, but it looks like rye, the ryegrass and stuff like that is popped up, but I do not see any clover left. So I'm wondering if they just came through here and ate all the clover up, um, which is a good sign. Um, it shows that they definitely found that, which I wasn't too surprised if they found this uh, food plot corridor here, just because they use this quite a bit as a travel corridor, because this path here goes up to where the feeder is going to be that I'm going to set up today. And so I'm not surprised that they found this area, because they know that eventually that I'm going to put a corn feeder up here at the top, and so I knew that they would find this because they travel this quite a bit. But I have the camera here, and then I got another one that is up here on the right side. So I actually got 2 cameras on this spot. So hopefully I'll get some good footage or some good pictures of the deer, passing through here. But we'll see. I'm gonna see if I can set you up here while I change out this card. Sorry if you're going to be at a funky angle, but I'm out here in the woods, and there's not many level spots out here to really make it where it looks like a decent shot. So I'm trying my best just to get it to stand up. But so where's my glasses at? Because I gotta pull out my readers to be able to see anything. So let's see what we got here. I might have to just pull this one off the tree just a little bit, just so I can see. Let's go to the setup menu. Actually, let's Go back to that. Hit play. Well, it doesn't look like there was anything recorded. So maybe just the clover died off, which I wasn't expecting that. All right. Well, that was kind of a bust. I don't know what would have gotten that clover, because it was coming up pretty good, surprisingly. And I don't see any clover left. Here's the other camera that I have out here on this spot. Let's see if this thing had done anything. Can't remember which one of my cameras actually tells me how many. This one has 132 pictures on it, so so this might give me a better story of what might have happened. And so I don't know why that one didn't capture anything, because surprisingly, that area that I just came from, that's where it had the most clover at. And so that's why I was kind of surprised that I only had a couple pictures on it. There really wasn't anything on those. So, but let's try this one out. I'll pull up the, or I'll put them on my computer later, and checking your cam cards are always fun. It's kind of like Christmas time, just seeing what might have come by and what's out here. So I got one more camera for this area, but that one is mainly for when it's over the feeder here. So I'll get to that one once I set up the feeder and everything, and then I'll set that one up. As you can see, it's right here on this tree, and it's, of course, the side by side's in the way right now, but feeder's just going to go right out behind me there, kind of in that sunny area. So, but I'll give you a different angle as I set up the feeder here and load it up with corn.
All right, here are some pictures from the trail cameras, two of them that I just showed you in the video. So this is along the side. Now this is pointing at where the deer feeder is going to be. And as you can see, there's no feeder there, but apparently all that stuff that I had thrown out, the clover, the rye, and everything, they hammered it pretty hard. And it looks like it's attracted quite a few, and surprisingly a lot of them were bucks. I had some pictures of some does, but I would say there were more bucks using this area than the does were. And this is the nicest one that I believe that came by. To me, he looks like he's about 3 years old, so I'll probably give him another year.
Well, this is a feeder that has a timer on it, and I usually set mine up to feed once in the morning and once in late afternoon, early evening. That way, I set it up where I'm more likely already going to be in my stand before this feeder goes off. And so we'll get that set up. Once I get it standing and everything, then that's when I'll usually put my battery and set all my times and all that. So I'll Need to get these legs cut apart because I just kind of keep them zip tied together when I take them apart once season is over, and that way they're not all over the place. And the key thing is just getting them all together first, and trying to get it set up is always a fun thing by yourself. So, but I've been doing it now for quite a few years, so not, I've gotten kind of used to doing it. It usually doesn't take me too long. So, all the years I've been doing this, usually set it up right over this dead stump area, and it seems like then it spreads out enough that it'll get kind of over in that corridor, but the deer also come from the left, which is where a pine thicket is, and so that's probably a pretty good bedding area that they have. And so I set up my feeder so it kind of disperses kind of all around me. So here comes the fun part, just trying to get this all in position and not drop it. There's that one. Now the trick is trying to get this pole to stay together. There we go. And then key thing is you gotta make sure that you have this level, because I have found when I didn't set it up properly and this thing wasn't level, it just wouldn't feed the way I wanted it to. And of course, I always test it just to make sure, once I get it filled with corn and everything, if that it's going to feed the way I want it to. And looks like that's bent a little bit. So might have to come back out, and that might be all right. Yeah, there we go. Because what happens is if it gets off balance, then it won't feed down in here properly, and it will just clog the opening up, and it won't spit any corn out for you at all. So usually the big thing with me is I'll put some corn in it, test it, make sure that it's going to work the way I want it to. I'm getting a battery right now. So I've gotten a battery. It's fully charged. I did that yesterday and make sure all my batteries were good to go, and tested it out while I had it back at the shop. And I'll set the times up on it. Crazy part is I gotta come back out here in a month or whenever the time changes again and change it again. So usually what I do when I set up mine is first time is set for 7:30, and it runs for 5 seconds, and it runs at a low RPM. So it's not going to sling out a ton of corn. It looks like that one was set for 4. but I usually try to get it set where it's about an hour and a half before official sunset, and that way, um, again, I'll have time to get in here and get set up. And all right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my trailer off and back the side by side up and just dump some corn in there. That way we'll get a test run, make sure everything's functioning good the way it needs to be. And then once I know it's working fine, then I'll fill the whole thing up, and it'll sit out here all season. I'll periodically come out here. This is something that my kids thoroughly enjoy doing, is coming out here and putting corn in the feeders and checking the trail cameras. They just think that's the greatest thing, and so I enjoy doing that with them. I'm checking the cameras today and setting all this up just because trying to do all that and try to keep my eye on a 5 and a 3-year-old while they're running around the woods. Not so much I don't mind them doing that, but the snakes and stuff are still out, and so I don't want them to get bit by, especially out here we have copperheads, and then I haven't seen any or heard of any in this specific area, but south of where I live, they've actually been finding timber rattlers, which I thought that was kind of unusual. I figured they would be a little bit higher elevation, but they've been finding them south of where I live. And so that's kind of the reason sometimes when I come out and I do a lot of work, I try not to bring my kids with me as of right now. Now, when they get older and they're a little bit more observant, um, then I won't worry as much. But right now, when they get out here, they just like to have fun and run around, and I just don't want either one of them to get bit. And but so, but as you'll see later on in the season, I'll probably do a couple videos, especially once it gets cold and I know everything is gone, underground for the winter. I'll bring the kids out here and I'll video them, checking the cards and helping me get corn and all that to put in the feeders here. So, like I said, they thoroughly enjoy that. But let me get a bag of corn, and we'll put a little bit in there and we'll do a test run and see how it goes. Just trying to get as close as I can to side by side to the feeder, because that's what I used to stand on to put the corn in. So let me just take this feeder out for the time being. I'm not stumbling over stuff. And set my glasses up there. All right. Like I said, what I'll probably do is just put one bag in for right now. And of course, I'll move the 4-wheeler because I don't want corn thrown all in it. So I'll just put this one bag in, move the side by side, and do a test run on this and make sure that everything looks like it's set up good and I'm not going to have any issues with it. All right. First bag of the year. Let you know that season's here. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to move the side by side up and out of the way and run a test on it. And if it works fine, then I got a total of 6 bags right now. And if I remember right, that feeder will hold, I believe, at least 200 pounds of corn. So I'll throw 150 pounds in it today, and that should last a little while. And then I have another 100 pounds back in the shop that I keep in a big tote, so it keeps the mice and everything out. So I'm gonna move the side by side and we'll give it a test run. I just checked this trail camera here, and it had over 300 pictures on it. So again, I'm kind of anxious to see what's been coming through and what will be observed this year. All right, so go ahead and hit the test button. It has a 10-second countdown. And I'm gonna go hide behind this tree, and you guys might get a couple kernels in your face. All right, seemed like it worked pretty good. So let me back the side by side up again, and I'm gonna throw the rest of the corn in, and then we're gonna go to the second spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and just shut it off right now. I thought I'd take you along with me on the ride back here to this other spot that I'm gonna put the feeder at. It's not the furthest point of my property, but it's pretty deep back in here. And again, the reason why I'm doing it is it's close to, I believe, a good bedding area that they use. And I set up a camera that's kind of on this trail, and I'm gonna go ahead and check that while I'm out here and let you see what might have passed through. Eventually, I'm gonna do a lot more work out on the property and make it to where the deer are going to be a lot more comfortable coming out here. But this area that I'm in right now is as a spot that I use my mineral block at, and it looks like they've been hitting it pretty good this year. I'm trying not to walk through cobwebs right now, but as you can see, I have a camera set up right there, and then right there is a mineral block. So they've looks like they've worn it down pretty good this year. I set that out there back in I believe it was March or April, something like that. And and this site where I have the mineral block at is the same site that the previous owner used for putting a mineral block. So it's hard saying how many years that this site's been used for, placing minerals and stuff like that, because there's a hunting blind, box blind right there, which I never use because I always hunt with a bow, and so I've never used the hunting blind itself. But my wife and my daughter might get in it this year, because my wife, as of right now, she just hunts with a crossbow, so it'd be pretty simple for her to shoot out of it. But trying to shoot a bow out of that, because it's made up for rifle shooting. So, but also a reason why I'm choosing this area, as you can see, it's already kind of open, and it kind of goes back in through there. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up a feeder here, and then eventually I might put like a little hidey hole food plot back here too, because I'd still take out, a few more trees in that, but the biggest thing is getting all this debris up off the ground. I got a bunch of it over there too. So the hard part is, getting the tractor back here. I'm gonna have to cut a trail through here, but this isn't something that'll probably even happen by next year, because I have so many areas that I want to hit and I want to, do that. There just isn't enough time sometimes, and I'm doing it all by myself. So I would like to uh, eventually, like I said, make this a spot back here. And there's a nice, like right on the other side over here, is a nice thick briar area. And I'm going to more likely leave that as a briar area because I feel that they might bed down in that sometimes. Maybe just, I'm not sure, but I've found signs of deer signs in there. So I'm thinking they might kind of use that as their bedding area or staging area when they first come out of the thick pines over here. And then back over on my right side here, which isn't on my property, it's on my neighbor's. He has a big hardwood forest over there. So, and just observing out here, and again, this is a huge double white oak uh, tree right here. And a couple years ago, I got those there. Actually, that's a red oak. I have a white oak over there. That's the big white oak. Sorry, it's over there. Um, that thing, when it gets an acorn harvest, it just rains acorns. But again, when I've come out here and taken my binoculars and looked up, into the tree itself, I don't see a whole lot of acorns this year. So I'm thinking that um, the corn is more likely going to work better this season than it has before, just because there's not going to be as many acorns on the ground this year. So that's my goal. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and get this other feeder set up. Since you saw me do the first one, I'll just bring you back after I've got it all set up, tested it, filled it with corn and everything, and I'll close it up on that.
All right, as I'm setting up the second feeder, I thought I would go ahead and show you some pictures from the mineral site. And I believe it had over 700 plus pictures that were captured. But I've just selected a few here just to give you an idea that this mineral site does get a lot of action. So between the bucks and then of course the does come in, and they mainly use it for milk production for their fawns. So this is just an idea that does get hit, and I plan on putting more minerals there in the future.
Okay, well, I've gotten the second feeder set up, and I'm going to go get one of my other cameras that is in a spot that I just kind of stuck it there just to see if there might have been any movement going through that way. But I believe I'm going to set my camera on this tree right here and see if I get any activity with this feeder. Again, this is the very first time that I've put in a feeder back here. And so this is going to be, a hit and miss kind of thing. Now, like I said, my mineral block is just right over here. And I just checked that card and it had over 700 some pictures on it. So there's been a lot of activity in this area with the deer. I haven't looked at the pictures or anything like that, but I'm figuring with over 700 pictures, and I just did the cards, like I said, about 3 weeks ago, I think it was. I'll have to look at the date exactly when I start reviewing the pictures. But again, that's the reason why I kind of put this feeder here, because I know the deer definitely come to this area. Uh, a lot of it is due to that mineral block. It's been here for, probably a couple generations. That's why I'm guessing that the previous owners that had this, they've always put mineral blocks there. So I can just continued that, and it's always been a very good spot that I'll get some high quality deer coming through, does and bucks. Last year I had 3 bucks on this mineral site at the same time, and all of them were nice. All of them were 8 pointers. One of them was really nice, but I never got any pictures of him again throughout the rest of the season. And so he might have just, they were probably just passing through. And this was before, this was probably over a year ago that I got those pictures. And so they might have been just cruising through before they, busted up into their, from their bachelor groups and just went out on their own. Uh, so I'll check this card and see if, another group of bucks have come through. Hopefully, the buck that I was really after last year, um, I'm hoping he'll show up again this year. I'm super excited if he does show up, just because again we had such a fun time last year, and I think I've decided to give him a nickname called Checkmate, because we played this chess match all last season, and he ended up beating me last year. So I'm hoping that he made it through, all of spring this summer, and he comes back, because it was some exciting times just to observe him, and the opportunities that I had to try to get him. Uh, it was fun. It was probably one of my best seasons that I had. And no, I mean, I only took a doe last year. I only took a doe last season, but I still consider last season as one of my very exciting seasons. Besides, my Missouri trips. Of course, Missouri, that's a whole different environment out there, different bucks, just different kind of deer. Um, so, but this buck that last year, I still get excited thinking about that season I had, and didn't even shoot an arrow at him, but it was just fun. So I'm hoping he's still around, and we can pick up where we left off last year. But maybe this year I'll get the better advantage, but we'll see. Um, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, it's just part of getting set up for deer season. Um, I know there's quite a few states out there that it's not legal to bait, but in North Carolina you can, on uh, private property. You can bait. Now, of course, you can't bait on public land, but uh, so I figure, hey, it's legal to do it, so I do it. Um, Now, I do go hunt some public land, and with hunting public, it's a different ball game. Um, Sometimes you're just going out there blind. I know when we go to Missouri, it's all public land out there that we hunt, and now that we've gone out there enough years, we've gotten ideas and we have experience, and just talking to other people, and that's how we get a lot of our intel. But until you get boots on the ground and you're actually out there walking around looking for signs, and um, looking for, is acorns good out here this year? Uh, so sometimes you have to try to zero in on, where those are at. But hunting on, on my own land, I put out feeders. I've started doing food plots, as you saw in the very beginning of the video of the experimental food plot. It's actually doing really good. It's doing better than I thought it would. I thought it they might not have picked up on it this year, but they're already hitting it. And so if we get some forecasted rain here before too long, I might go ahead and throw some more seed out there and see if I can just get that going. Just try to stay ahead of them. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm I'm excited. I'm excited this year. It should be a fun season, and I hope to bring you along with me. I don't know if I'll film any of my hunts. It's kind of hard to do that. I know there's other guys out there that they're really good about filming their hunts and everything, but I'll try. I can't guarantee that they'll be great quality or anything like that because all I use is my phone to video my stuff. And but we'll see what I can do. So until the next video, I'll see you later.